Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We are 2GA, two generation analyzation. We are the father son combination who voices our opinions on our podcast. Sometimes our opinions are the same, sometimes they differ. Today, we're going to talk about football as we have for the past couple weeks. Um, a brief overview of what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the teams that have clinched the playoffs in the AFC. This is week 15, leading into week 16, by the way, when this is being recorded. We're going to talk about the NFC East in general and kind of the implications of Washington getting in the playoffs possibly and clinching the division. We're going to talk about the Titans and kind of the proponents that they have to overcome to win to get into the playoffs and clinch their division. And then finally, Ravens against Cincinnati, kind of talk about that game and the implications of that. So, really quick, the teams that have made it in the AFC to the playoffs so far are the Bills, the Chiefs, who have clinched the entire AFC already, and the Steelers. Father, does this list surprise you at all?
No, it doesn't surprise me. It did. I'll tell you, the only thing that really kind of surprised me there was Pittsburgh having that 3-game losing streak. They seemed to get back on track in the second half. They did not look good in the first half of the Indy game, but they did seem to get back on track in the second half. Get the win against Indy last week and actually clinch the playoff spot and clinch the division with that win. So those first three don't surprise me too much. I think Buffalo is playing a little bit better than I thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they would be. I thought they would win the division before the year began, just because of all the changes. But I thought Miami would give them a good run. And Miami has played well. But Buffalo right now has got the division.
I agree. Personally, on a kind of a side note, I think that the Browns have done much better than what I thought they were going to do when the season started. I thought there was going to be another 0-16 Browns team, but so far they've been impressive this season. Now,
Yeah, I didn't think they would be. I didn't think they would. I thought they would be probably more along the lines of like a 8-8 or 9-7 team at the end of the year.
mhm.
Right now they sit at 10-5, and so they can't win a division, but they can get into the playoffs. And right now, currently, they sit as the number 17 in the last place team to get into the playoffs in the AFC.
That'd be a crazy thing for the Browns to get into the playoffs. All right, next topic, the NFC East. Kind of a brief thing about that. If Washington wins, they're in the playoffs. They're playing against Philadelphia. You said they had a 60% chance of winning, right?
59.7. Yep. 60% chance of winning that game. I believe if Alex Smith plays that game, they win that game pretty handily. I'm not talking about a blowout of like 35-7 or anything like that. I think it would be a little bit closer, but I think they win that game, maybe by 7 or 10, but they win it, fairly, especially with Gibson back too, the running back, who played well against Carolina. So if Alex Smith is back, I definitely think they win. I honestly give them probably more than a 60% chance of winning on the game if he's back. If they have to play with what was their third string quarterback and now who's their second string quarterback, Taylor Heineke, because they let Jackson go, or excuse me, they let
Dwayne Haskins.
yeah, Dwayne Haskins go. He's their backup quarterback. And so with him playing, I would probably drop it down to around, probably around a 50-50 or 55-45 chance that Washington still wins. Their defense has stepped up. Young has really stepped up on the defensive line. Their defensive line is playing pretty well in general, and Young played a great game against Carolina. So I do see that, I do see them still, winning, but it could go the other way. I think the thing we got to look at too is how much is Philadelphia motivated to play that game. I don't think they're not going to go in that game to tank it because they hate one team worse than the other. They're division rivals. So, by losing to Philly, or Philly losing to Washington, that's still a divisional rival that's going to get into the playoffs, Washington. So I think Philadelphia still comes and plays hard. I just don't know that they would be playing as hard as they was if they obviously were fighting for that playoff berth.
Yeah. I I was kind of surprised to see Ron Rivera let Dwayne Haskins go. I know he hasn't really been performing up to what his draft pick and his standards really should have been, and he's had like a lot of outside of the locker room issues too. But I was kind of surprised seeing that, and to kind of have Alex Smith step in like halfway through the season, coming out of wait, did he? He didn't start the first games, did he?
No,
No, he
no,
came
Dwayne
in.
Haskins did.
Yeah. So, to have Alex Smith come from literally almost dying to coming back and getting them into playoff contention, uh, you know, kicking Dwayne Haskins and relying on Heineke, it's a gamble, but I think I agree. If Alex Smith comes, I think they win. I don't think it's as easy as you're saying it's going to be. In terms of like the Eagles just aren't really going to come out swinging. I think it's more of a concern of if Alex Smith plays, is he going to be the Alex Smith that we expect coming off of an injury? And if Alex isn't playing and it's their what is now, I guess technically their second string quarterback,
Mhm.
if he starts, is he good enough to win, even if the Eagles aren't playing like 100%?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I
so
mean, Hertz has got a lot to prove there
yeah,
too. So, I mean, that's something we didn't mention, and we should have. That's a big component of it. Also, Hertz doesn't want to go out. He didn't get to play. But maybe 3 or 4 games. And he did have some inconsistencies. A couple of games looked really good. One game looked good. One game looked phenomenal, and then one game, that I can think of off the top of my head, did not look good. So I think he wants to go out on a positive note. So I think he's going to be motivated to
mhm,
play very well in this game. Essentially saying, hey, I'm a starter, and I should be starting. I know they have the contract issues that they've got to deal with and so forth because it's a lot to pay. It's a lot to paying your starting quarterback, your projected starting quarterback, and then him be on the bench with Hertz playing. So we'll see how that unfolds. But yeah, Hertz has got a lot to do with this game too. And if he has a great game, it wouldn't surprise me to see Philly win this game. And I still think the chances are much much better with Alex Smith starting. But if even if he does start, it wouldn't shock me that Philly won the game. So
yeah, Jalen coming in, he's kind of on par with what I expected of him. Coming in towards the end of the season with a really crappy team. He's played pretty decently given being a rookie. So if it's me, I go with Jalen, just because Carson Wentz had the entire season to prove that he still had it, even if the team structure didn't have it. But from what I've seen, Carson Wentz hasn't been playing that as well as old Carson Wentz. And Jalen Hurts comes in. He's a dual threat quarterback. He's showing promising potential, in my opinion. So I say you free up some cap room, get rid of Carson Wentz, invest all your time in Jalen Hurts, and go from there.
yeah, the only potential issue with that is there's a possibility, and it looks like it's more likely than not that the salary cap may drop. And if they did just cut Carson Wentz, that they would take a
Yeah.
huge hit on the cap. Now, if they could possibly trade him, maybe maybe they could work out a trade, and then the team could restructure his contract to a little bit more friendly. I just don't know that a lot of teams are going to be willing to dive into that the way he has regressed. I'll tell you the biggest thing I've seen between the difference between what I've seen with Carson Wentz throughout the year and then what I've seen with Jalen Hurts. My takeaway is Carson Wentz has sat in the pocket, and instead of having that internal clock and whatever their goal is, whether it's 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then do something, you got to move, you got to take off running. He's been non-committal to actually having that internal clock, if you will, to go, on 2002, 2003, that mental clock in your head, 2 or 3 seconds, and then take off running. Nothing's there, nothing's open. Go take off running and not take the sack. He took a lot of sacks this year, and that's the difference I see. Jalen Hurts is actually, instead of trying to either force it or waiting in the pocket for somebody to come open, he will take off running and try to get open.
Yep.
So I think Washington wins the game. I think they actually win the division. But if they don't, then what we were talking about earlier is, then it's between Dallas. If they Washington loses that game at Phil or against Philly, then it's going to be between Dallas and New York. Whoever wins that game actually gets it into the playoffs. So that'll be interesting to see. And the timing of the games is interesting too, because they're playing at night, Sunday night, so they'll know who has won the game at the 1 o'clock game. So it'll be interesting also. Kind of a little twist in there.
So next topic, kind of the Titans in general, and if they win against the Texans, then they win the division, correct?
Yes. If they win against the Texans, they win a division. 92.2% chance that they win against the Texans. So we'll see. We'll see how. I think they're going to come back and be motivated to play well after a very dismal a dismal start against Green Bay. I know it was snowing and all of that, but Green Bay put it on them pretty quick, got out to a big lead. I think Tennessee will be motivated to come back and play hard in this game and win the game, pretty handily.
It's kind of the same thing with Washington and Philly to an extent. Philly has zero chance of getting in the playoffs. Texans have zero chance of getting in the playoffs. So it's kind of, do the Texans come out and really, blitz every single time and try and win the game? I don't think so. I think they obviously will try and win, but they're not going to show off any crazy plays or any crazy strategies. So I think the Titans take that pretty easily, given how bad the Texans have performed this year, which is a shame for me to say. But yeah,
That's your team.
it is, unfortunately.
Well, they did lose. They did. I shouldn't say lose. They fired their coach
Yeah.
earlier in the year. So the interim coach there, he's going to try to get them to play hard, because this will be the last look, that the owners, the GM, really has of the team and the coaching staff. So this is a bigger game for the coaching staff, than a lot of the players that are under contract and aren't going anywhere. So we'll see how it plays out.
What do you think the score is going to be for that?
The Tennessee Texans game.
Well, let's put it into perspective. If
Mhm.
both teams, by whatever reason, go all out, they give everything they have, like it's the Super Bowl. And what do you think the score is going to be if the Texans are just kind of like, it's the last game of the season, let's get it over with?
A lot of teams, there's a fine edge between, still trying really hard and then trying, like, hey, we've got to win this to get into the playoffs.
Mm.
I don't think that the Texans are going to come in there and flop. I still think they're going to try to put up a good game. Like I said, leave a good taste in the owners, GMs. I think the coaches are going to try to get them to play very hard. I think Tennessee wins that game. I don't see that being a blowout. I really think that Tennessee, it'll probably come down to possibly a 37-24. I think I think the Texans are still going to put up a decent fight. So we'll see. We'll see if they don't. Well, that'll be a huge tell on the coaching staff, right? It's the coaching staff's responsibility to get that team motivated. It's the players on there to get each other themselves and each other motivated. So if they come out and just play horribly, then I would imagine they'll clean house with the coaching staff, and they'll bring in an entire new coaching staff. It really tells a lot, and then about the team, but it also says a lot about the coaching staff too. If a team comes in at the end of the year knowing that they're not in the playoffs and just gives up and gets run all over.
I don't think it's in the blood of JJ Watt to flop a game, even if they are 4-11 right now. I think
Uh,
he's gonna
I'll,
go out and frickin' try and kill someone.
I will tell you that I would be shocked if JJ Watt doesn't give it his all, because he's never in any game that I've watched, he's never given not given it his all. So, JJ Watt could be the only player giving 110%, but by God, he will. He definitely will.
All right, last topic: Ravens against the Cincinnati Bengals. This shouldn't even be a question of a game. I think the Ravens are going to take it pretty easily, given the abysmal team that the Bengals are. What do you think?
Well, take a step back. We talked about the Titans and Texans. Titans win, they're in.
Right.
The flip side of that is if the Ravens, Colts, or Dolphins lose, then the Titans are in. So Colts are playing the Jags. I think the Colts hand them a pretty decent loss. I think the Colts went fairly big in that game. I think the Dolphins and the Bills. Dolphins could definitely lose to the Bills. How much do the Bills want the number 2 seed? Are they going to keep the starters out there the whole time? So that could come into play. If Bills give it their all, I think that will be a tight game, and I think the Bills squeak it out. So that leaves the Ravens. Ravens are playing Cincinnati. I don't see the Ravens losing that game. They win. They're in the playoffs, so they're going to come out. The Ravens are going to come out. Jackson's going to come out. They're going to really turn it up, and I think they win that game pretty easily. Probably, it says 91 point something, 91 point. I think it was 9% chance that the Ravens win that game. I think it's every bit of that.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame, in my opinion, to see the route that Cincinnati has taken. We kind of talked about it briefly a few weeks ago, especially with Joe Burrow going down his rookie season. He was doing fairly well, given him just being thrown into the the highest level of competition that you can possibly get at in this sport. So I think the Ravens are getting back underway to what we expect of them, because they kind of had the middle of the season where we were like, what the heck is going on with the Ravens? But I think they're riding the path now. They're getting back on track with Lamar being back in. Half the team isn't out due to COVID anymore. So I think they're getting on the right track. I think they win the game pretty easily. If it's my opinion, I think it's like a 97% chance they win versus 91. Not that big of a difference, but
Yeah.
Cincinnati just sucks. So yeah, I think the Ravens take it pretty handily. I don't think Cincinnati's going to put up much of a fight, even if they do come out swinging.
Yeah, and the Ravens have been like in a playoff mode almost since 4 weeks ago when they started this 4-game winning streak. They've won four in a row. They know they need this one to win. Now they could still squeak in, slide in. So if they win against Cincinnati, they're in. Or if the Browns were to lose, then they could get in. If the Colts were to lose, they could get in. Again, don't think the Colts are going to lose to the Jags and the Browns and Steelers. Again, that's going to kind of come down, in my opinion. How much is the Steelers willing to put their team out there to hold on to the number 3 seed? They've already won the division. They're actually, as a matter of fact, they're going to, the only thing they can do is jump up to the 2nd seed if Buffalo was to lose. So I don't know that Pittsburgh is going to go all out on that game to try to get the 2nd seed, because there isn't a bye or a week off there, like the 1st seed has this year since they changed the format. So not sure that tennis or that the Steelers are going to put everything they have to try to win that game. So I could see Cleveland winning. So I think the Ravens know that, and the Ravens know, hey, we need to take care of business and win. Then we don't have to worry about it. We're in.
All right, a lot of good points. Right now, all we can do is speculate. Obviously, with it coming into week 16, once we have all the information, and once
Week 17.
week 17, excuse
Yeah,
me.
come last week of the regular season.
Yeah, so once we figure out what the final scores are and who made it into the playoffs, what the potential seedings are, then we can kind of speculate a bit more on the playoff implications of it, and kind of instead of just guessing, yeah, the are the Texans going to come out swinging? We'll know for sure, once we get all the teams that are in the playoffs, they're all going to come out swinging, and we can probably make a bit more of a educated decision on who we think is going to win, or more specifically by how much they'll win by. Well, that's it for me. Do you have any closing statements?
Nope. Good show. Love it.
All right, all right. Well, that was the end of our segment. We will see you back probably next week, again, whenever all the games have concluded. Then we can make a more educated guess on the playoffs and the implications surrounding that. This has been 2GA, Two Generation Analyzation. We will see you next week.